So you heard already that I was one of the initiators of FuturICT and also FuturICT 2.0. No question, we are now living in a time of big data, and in order to really unleash the value of all this data, artificial intelligence is needed, and this artificial intelligence is increasing enormously in time. People expect super intelligent systems to exist very soon, certainly in this century, maybe just in a few years. And some people ask the question, could cities or entire nations be run like giant machines? So could we learn what all the parts are and how they behave and how they can be manipulated, for example, by nudging? And could we build fully automated cities that would basically be run like theme parks? That was the idea of Walt Disney. And IBM and other companies were trying to implement that, to automate cities and nations using Internet of Things and big data and AI and cognitive computing. And that sounds very interesting. However, if we look at the cities that are most livable around the world, and it turns out none of them is located in one of the leading IT nations. Not even the Silicon Valley has managed to create that paradise on earth that they are promising us to happen pretty soon. And I've been participating in this workshop at Wilton Park, Disrupting Cities Through Technology, where all the stakeholders, including businesses and government representatives from smart cities and also Homeland Security and other authorities were involved, and the conclusion was this idea that you could automate cities doesn't really work. And the reason is a city is neither a machine nor a fabrication unit nor a theme park. A city is also there to experiment, to make new experiences, to learn, to engage socially, and to innovate. And that is something else. And in particular, if we look at these curves, and we see that even though we have the best technology ever, data volume is overtaking processing power, and that means the amount of data that we cannot look at and evaluate is increasing. So-called dark data that we wouldn't know what it really implies. And as we network the world, systemic complexity is growing factorially, even faster, and that leads to this paradoxical situation that even though we have more data than ever and the best technology, top-down control seems to increasingly fail. We don't manage to get cyber threats under control and many other threats, and that's related, I believe, to this fact over here. So we need a new control paradigm, a distributed control paradigm, one that's oriented at self-organization, and that self-organization can happen through real-time measurement and real-time feedback in order to stabilize the kinds of patterns that you'd like to have. And the kind of technology for this is the Internet of Things combined with blockchain technology. And we're engaged in this area. I'm also a member of 2 blockchain labs, and in Switzerland, one in the Netherlands. And so we're using the Internet of Things to measure externalities. I mean, the impact of human action on the environment and other people. And we use blockchain technology, that's the plan at least, to build a new multidimensional incentive system that would create new market forces towards a circular economy. And we imagine this new economy to be a participatory one. Talk also about Finance 4.0 in this connection. So we're heading towards a new paradigm from top-down power and control to empowerment and coordination. And co-creation, co-evolution, collective intelligence will be really success principles in the future. I think we'll go away from over-regulation as we have it today towards systems that help people to do the right kind of thing, I mean to support self-organization. And that is an entirely new approach, and it works wonderfully as we have shown. here you see the computer simulation of the stop and go traffic that's annoying us every day. Just to show you that we understand the process, that we can reproduce it, and we can change it. So we'll change the interactions between vehicles in a decentralized way. That's called mechanism design. And in this way, we will stabilize the traffic flow and increase the capacity. Now, at the moment, you're just seeing that the reason for the traffic jam is that there are some cars that try to get on the freeway. They produce very small disruptions, but disruption amplify and they cause the stop-and-go traffic. Now, if you equip cars with radar sensors and other sensors to measure distances and relative velocities and let them drive automatically, then you can really dissolve the traffic jam. We've done this kind of research many years back with Volkswagen, before people were talking about Google self-driving cars, and know that we are here producing desirable collective effects in a decentralized way. That means not through a central control center. In a very similar way have we invented and patented, by the way, a self-organized traffic light control, where the traffic flows steer the traffic lights rather than the other way around. Again, we don't need necessarily a traffic control center. In fact, this more flexible approach works much better than the centralized optimization attempt that we're doing today, because traffic optimization is an NP-hard optimization problem. It cannot be strictly optimized in real time. Now you can see that we can save waiting and travel times for all the traffic participants, and it would also be good for the environment. Implementations are on the way in Dresden and in several cities in Switzerland. And decentralized approaches also become more popular in electrical systems, keyword is smart grid, and also in industry for the production, where now with smart sensors products can talk to machines and the other way around, and products can talk to products. In this way, in principle, we can create self-organizing production processes. Now, in this time where distributed control becomes more important, also participation becomes more important, and that concerns digital democracy. We know democracies are in trouble all over the world. I'm not talking about a Facebook democracy over here. The question is really how to make democracy work in the digital age, how to build digital democracy as we describe it here in nature, and the whole point is really to bring the knowledge and ideas and skills and talents and resources of many people together. And that requires particular platforms that we call MOODs, massive open online deliberation platforms, that bring the arguments together, structure them into different perspectives, and then integrate different perspectives to come up with solutions that work for more people. The Netflix prize is actually a very good example how collective intelligence outperforms the very best individual solution. If you combine different solutions, surprisingly, that will improve the solution. I mean, if you combine the best solution with the second best and the third best, that will create a better solution than the best. That is the point. And that applies basically to all complex problems that need to be solved. Among these problems, how to reduce climate change, how to come up with more efficient energy systems, how to save our environment, how to produce a sustainable economy, how to produce a resilient society, and so on. And we haven't made progress at the speed that we need to make progress at. So here's a proposal. Why don't we engage into city Olympics, where all those problems that need to be solved are disciplines in which the cities compete with each other. Scientists and engineers would be involved. The press would be involved. The media, the politics, business would be involved. and also civil society would be mobilized towards those global goals that we need to achieve quickly. Now, a similar thing actually applies to our economic system. I think we need to boost co-creation. We're now seeing this perfect storm of the digital revolution. Within just a few years, there's suddenly cloud computing and big data and artificial intelligence and cognitive computing and robotics and virtual reality and blockchain technology, and that's not all. Each of these technologies has the potential to reinvent services, products, business models, entire economic sectors, and all the institutions that we have now. The combination of these different technologies will do things to our economy and society that are unpredictable. But we need to survive this digital revolution. And here are our competitors. Of course, every European country these days wants to have a Silicon Valley. But is that realistic? Let's look at the data. The world's largest IT companies. Nothing in Europe. The world's largest internet companies. Nothing in Europe. The world's largest software companies. Okay, there's SAP. But there is this exponential growth law of the digital revolution, which basically implies that if you accelerate at the same pace with a delay, you can never catch up. That means even if you could mobilize the same amount of venture capital, if we had as many smart people who know about data science, machine learning as in the United States, we could never catch up. So we think we are making progress, but we would still be falling back. And that's why Europe needs to have a totally different approach than the Silicon Valley. We need to have a growth law that is faster than exponential. And the only one that comes to my mind is factorial growth. And that requires combinatorial innovation. And that requires a completely different approach from what we have seen in the past, where we had these walled gardens. So this needs to be overcome. We need to learn that in the digital economy, resources are more or less unlimited. We can share as often as we like. This is a non-material economy in a sense. We can bake bigger cakes. So rather than competing for the limited pieces of cake that what we're doing in the material economy, the issue here is really to expand the resources, and sharing creates value. We'll soon live in an economy that has two parts. One is the material economy, where you make money through economies of scale, through rationalization. But the digital economy would create value through co-creation, through sharing of information. And so the point is really, we need to build an information innovation ecosystem in which everyone can contribute with data, ideas, services, and products. A massive sharing economy where everyone can participate on an equal footing. That's the point. How to create such an ecosystem? Well, a rainforest lives on the humus that it's being created from the leaves that are dropped after some time. So if you want to build a digital ecosystem, you need to drop something equivalent to leaves to be shared after some time. Data and algorithms. So what about opening up data and algorithm after 2 years? So you would make 95% of money with the data in that time period, and then you share the data, and in return you would get access to all the data that all the other companies and institutions share after 2 years. So that would really unleash enormous innovation potential. So the entire point about the digitization 2.0, the next phase of the digital revolution, is to empower people. Because if we help people to take better decisions, to be more creative and innovative, to coordinate each other and cooperate better, then this will automatically create better services and products, more successful businesses, nicer neighborhoods, smarter cities, and a better future. And we could go even a step further, because nations have access to big data, a lot of data in fact, and we could turn the so-called war rooms that are being used to run nations and companies, we could actually turn them into so-called peace rooms, which are characterized by additional features such as more transparency, a democratic framework, scientific use, ethical use, a multi-perspective approach, and participatory opportunities for the civil society and for NGOs. And there has been a publication in The Globalist, but also in Nature, the leading journal in science, promoting this idea, and we are about to build the first instance of such a peace room in The Hague, and I'd like to see this happen also in Berlin and in Rome or Torino and in Vienna and in all the other capitals, and then to connect those peace rooms would be big data and AI infrastructures with a certain degree of openness for more stakeholders, to connect them to build a European distributed media lab. That's the idea. So I'm finishing by saying, to fix the world by 2030 and the years to come, there are new and better solutions, and among them, digital democracy to boost collective intelligence, socio-ecological finance, the combination of Internet of Things and blockchain technology to boost sustainability, participatory market society to boost co-creation, and city Olympics to solve global problems. Thank you very much.